Good afternoon. My name is Curt Gumme, and I am the host of our series called Onward. Today, I'm joined by Dan Glissman, an attorney with MacDermid, Reynolds Glissman, based here in Hartford. And hi, Dan.
Hello. Hi, everybody.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Listen, it's exciting time in Connecticut because the whole idea of cannabis has been around since 2012. It was a medical cannabis need. And now as we move into 2021 and 2022, marijuana in Connecticut has been legalized. Dan joins me as an expert in this area, having spent the last 5 to 6, 7 years in Massachusetts working in this space. And I wanted Dan to join us today so he can talk about a little bit what's going on in Connecticut. And so Dan, like I said, is an expert in this field. At the young, ripe age of 31, he is bringing great talent. Dan is joined in the law firm with his father, who is a good friend of mine back from the 80s and 90s. I hate to say that. But like I said, welcome, Dan. And tell us a little bit what's going on in Connecticut, some of your experiences, because you've been really close to the legislation and the process, and it's an exciting time for that industry in Connecticut.
Yeah, thanks, Curt. Thanks for the introduction, and thanks for having me on today. Just a little bit more about my background. So I'm a commercial real estate attorney by trade, but in 2014, shortly after I left law school and started working for a firm in Boston, I had the opportunity to license or participate in the licensing and permitting of the first medical marijuana dispensary in downtown Boston. And that was a big learning experience for me and sort of getting really in tune into the cannabis industry, starting there. And and shortly afterwards, in 2016, Massachusetts legalized adult use cannabis. And, really my practice exploded with primarily cannabis work starting around then. And I was fortunate enough to represent the first adult use retailer that opened in Massachusetts. My client, Cultivate Holdings in Leicester, they did a great job, and they were the first, adult use retailer to open east of the Mississippi. So that was pretty fun. And I'm a Connecticut native. Curt, like you said, I joined my firm here in Hartford with my dad. I grew up in Simsbury, and I moved back here to Connecticut a couple of years ago. And, I've been tracking the Connecticut bill really ever since I was back. They had a little bit of a push in 2018, I think it was, when I first moved back here. That bill to legalize cannabis didn't ultimately make it, to a vote in both chambers, or either chamber for that matter.
But we made it now, right?
But we made it now. Yeah, that's right. And
we have it.
2021, obviously this last summer, we had a really a great legislative session, and cannabis was ultimately legalized in the special session. So now we're here on the verge of this new sort of exciting, turn in the industry in Connecticut towards adult use.
So Dan, let me ask you a question. Has this sent the municipalities scrambling to figure out how does this affect our communities, our towns? What's the zoning look like? What is the challenge? What can we do? Because, obviously cannabis, it's a slippery slope. Not everybody is excited about it. But
yeah, I agree. I mean, cannabis.
So go ahead and share just a little bit about what you see happening at the municipal level.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, cannabis is not super new necessarily to Connecticut. As you said, it started in 2012, and there's a number of medical retail facilities and a few product producers in Connecticut. But that doesn't, necessarily mean that adult use cannabis isn't kind of a new topic and something that everyone's going to take a fresh look at. And so what we're seeing a lot of right now, and frankly, what may be one of the biggest hurdles to the cannabis industry here in Connecticut is, Curt, as you say, the sort of tentative approach that a lot of these municipalities are taking. So what we've been seeing, and we've been, really actively tracking all the municipalities really to the best of our ability as to how they're handling cannabis. But we've been seeing a lot of, temporary moratoriums for 6, 9, or 12 months. We've seen a few outright bans of cannabis. And these moratoriums, it's really a very standard planning and zoning process that towns will go through. But right now, because of the stage that we're in cannabis, and with the sort of short lead time that we have for the state licensing and requirements to get a final license after you get approved for your initial license by the state, these moratoriums, may actually end up being de facto bans on cannabis establishments, because, just from a timing perspective, if you have a 12-month moratorium in place and you have to get a shop open in any municipality, you're not going to be looking at that moratorium, the town that has a moratorium, because you just won't have enough time from the date that you get a state license to the date you have to open your store, and you just won't have enough time. So, I think one of the things from a commercial real estate perspective that we're really looking at and encouraging our clients to do is pay attention at the local level. If there's a town that you think you want to operate in, the time is now to reach out to your commercial real estate brokers and legal counsel and lock up some real estate and start having conversations with those municipalities. I mean, fortunately, moratoriums are temporary in nature. Obviously, a town could vote to remove the moratorium if they find a project that they like, or if they decide where and how they want to zone something. But you have to start those conversations, and you have to start them now. And Curt, I don't want to go too crazy, but I'll just kind of give you a little bit of a thought process from a timing perspective. So if the state opens up the licensing lottery in the beginning of next year, which is sort of their projected timeline,
yep,
they'll issue what they're calling provisional licenses, let's say by March of next year. And that will be when they first identify the first group of folks that wins licenses in this lottery process. And we can double back and talk about that if you think it would be helpful. But then once you have a provisional license, you only have 14 months to get your store open.
So you're talking at all the levels, the retail, from a dispensary's perspective. Are you talking about growers too?
That's right.
Everybody's kind of running under the same timeline.
Yeah, that's right. So it's 14 months from the date of provisional licensure that you have to have your facility up and running in order to be eligible for a final license. And, if you're talking about building a 50 or 60,000 square foot grow facility, that's no small feat.
Absolutely.
So, timing is everything.
So, between potential moratorium, 6 months, 12 months, getting granted a license early in 2022, maybe a moratorium is in place. So there's definitely a delicate balance between committing to real estate, how quickly you drive it forward. And like you said, if you're looking at a 50, 60,000 square foot new construction facility, these timetables are tight.
The only thing that I would want to leave folks with is that, the time is now to really take a hard look at a cannabis opportunity in Connecticut, because the licensing process is really moving along. The Social Equity Council, which is a critical component. I know we didn't get into licensing that much, but they're meeting regularly and moving their agenda forward. So I do expect some significant progress in the near term here. And, finding real estate, finding the right site, getting a deal in place, it takes time. So
it does, yeah. So maybe because of the complexity of it, in terms of it's just so voluminous in terms of the legislation, the process. Maybe what we could do is circle back and do a segment on licensing and do a segment on real estate as a follow-up to this sort of more high-level overview. And I think that would be kind of fun, just to push that out to our market.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Sounds
absolutely.
good.
Happy to talk about all the different license types. There's 9 new ones in Connecticut. So we can talk about what those look like at another session.
So I appreciate you volunteering to do that.
Yeah, no, happy to do it. Seriously.
Very good. Very good. So listen, I'm Curt Gumme, and I am the host of Onward podcast series. Here we run through Century Commercial Real Estate. And Dan Glissman, talented young man at MacDermid, Reynolds, and Glissman, leading. And when I say leading, right from the state capitol, just great accolades on his knowledge and his involvement in, working through the cannabis process. So Dan's definitely a rock star on the scene, and we're excited to have him here on Onward and look forward to seeing you again on another future podcast.
Oh, thanks so much, Curt. It was really great to join you today. Really appreciate all the kind words as well. Thank you.
All right. You bet, Dan. Thank you so much.
All righty. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.